I'll read it again. This is Muhammad. He is saying, I have been commanded to fight against the people until they testify that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and they establish prayer and pay zakat, and if they do it, their blood and property are guaranteed protection on my behalf, except when justified by law, and their affairs rest with Allah. My question to you again is Muhammad an example to you in that statement?
If I was living in
7th
century Arabia, probably.
So you're saying that he's not an example for you today?
Yeah, because I'm not going to pray.
Great, you're better than Muhammad, well done.
Okay, moving on. Because I want...
Is that protection of rights? Because you talk about protection of rights, you pay the tax.
You let him burst in. So no, the Muhammad is saying, you burst into his conversation. He can burst back in.
You want me to back and go if you want?
Yeah. Dawood.
Oh, you want to move some?
Dawood. Yasin.
Dawood.
Yeah. Well, you called him Dawood, not me. So
yeah, exactly.
Yasin.
Yeah.
Right? I've demonstrated that your book legitimizes religious persecution. Will you now condemn it?
Not to me.
And why not, Yasin? Because you stopped talking and you walked off.
I was talking to the people that were
because
supporting
you. No. What? Sorry?
I was talking to the people that were supporting.
No, because you entered into a conversation. You asked me to prove something, and then when I was demonstrating the proof, you walked away.
Sorry, can you demonstrate it again?
Thank you. So let's do it again. So, in 9:29. Right.
I showed you verse 13.
Yeah, we've gone through that. You should have been here. So now my question is this: if the British government was to impose upon the Muslims a differentiated tax on account of them being Muslims that could be higher than taxes given to Christians, would you call that a discriminatory tax?
That's the only condition, just because we're different.
And if you don't pay it, we're going to take your children, we're going to take your wives, we're going to take your property.
Show me that.
Okay, so are you...
Show me that, take the children, wives, property, show me.
So what is the jizya tax?
The jizya tax, regardless of what it is, you only pay it as a Christian or Jew, then you don't have to fight for the country, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. The other rights that everyone has to be abiding by, we don't do.
And what happens if you don't pay it?
Right now, who even pays jizya tax?
What happens if you don't pay it?
I don't know.
Yeah, good.
Doesn't even talk about
because the world has become a better place because we have abolished the jizya tax.
No.
And the world is better without
it.
The world is a better place without the jizya tax. Do you know what the Pact of Umar is?
Pact of Umar.
Yeah, the Pact of Umar. Yeah?
What's the Pact?
The Pact of Umar. It is an early forgery within Islam that was accredited to when Umar took over Christian lands.
What did he forge?
Well, we don't know who forged it. I think most hadiths are forged. But in the Pact of Umar, it restricts the restoration of places of worship. It says that Christians can't ride on saddles. It says that Christians couldn't have hanging swords on their shoulders.
So what do I search up to confirm that?
Yeah, you go and look up the Pact of Umar. Yeah, the Pact of Umar. Now, also, while you're doing it, it'd be much more helpful for you to look at what the jizya tax is, because the jizya tax is clearly referenced in the Quran. The jizya tax is protection money. If we don't pay the jizya tax, our lives, our property, and the lives of our children and wives become forfeit. Did you know that? Well, I'm educating you about your deen now. Yeah, please do. I'll wait for you to confirm.
The Pact of Umar is a treaty that established the rights and obligations of non-Muslims.
Correct.
Why would you want to even have rights and obligations for non-Muslims if you're going to subjugate them anyway?
Because you can subjugate people through rights, even Jews in the Third Reich.
Why would you? You have the sword and you have control over the land.
That's
different. Why even give them rights?
That's different people practicing justice in different ways. Let me give you an example. Hitler, when he oppressed the Jews,
he
did give them rights.
Like what?
Yes, they could live in the ghetto. They were allowed to trade a certain amount. They were allowed to do certain kinds of work. They were allowed to marry one another. So the point is, they were allowed rights.
And then he took them away and sent them to the camp.
Yes, indeed.
Well, Islam never did that, so it's a bad example.
No, no. Yasin, I'm sorry you can't follow an argument, but let's be clear. The Pact of Umar does this. it restricts the rights of Christians and turns them into second-class citizens.
That's not what it says here.
Well, let's go into it. This is the kind of things that it says. It says that Christians can't restore places, it can't repair.
As a request for protection of Christians and protection.
Yeah,
of
that's the
Christians.
preamble given commentary.
This is AI.
What are the rights? What are the actual rights? What restrictions does the Pact of Umar? Because I can Google it as
so
well.
Head tax in exchange for protection and exemption.
What
from
does it
military
say
service.
about the repairing of churches?
You said all laws, right?
Oh my
all
gosh.
rules. A head tax, that's the Jizya tax you were talking about.
Thank you.
For Jews and Christians.
Correct.
In exchange for
Yes.
protection and exemption from military service. So you're not just paying
Protection
tax.
from who?
From other countries. From other
No,
wars with other
protection
countries.
from the Ummah.
No, that's
Protection
not what it
from
says.
Muslims. Look,
That's not what it says.
I'm going to give you one more chance to read honestly what he's saying in the Pact of Umar, or I'll just get it myself.
You're a spy.
Yasin, listen. Yasin. Yasin, listen.
You support his argument?
Yasin. Yasin. How about I read it?
Okay, read it.
Right.
Read it.
Listen. Let's look into it.
One by one.
1 second. Let's. May I?
I'm not that good.
May I? Okay.
I don't
Is this AI? Right. Here's the thing. The Pact of Umar says, and this is what he didn't want to read, the prohibition of Jews and Christians from holding government office. Now let me ask you this question. If we passed a
Can I, as a
law...
Muslim, become prime minister?
Yes,
Christian? No.
yes,
No.
yes. Let me ask you this question. Yasin.
No.
Yasin, yes you can.
Muslim Arab.
Yasin,
Muslim
Yasin.
Can a Muslim Arab become a British prime
Yes. What's his name again?
I'll show you.
Wait. So it's your phone, sorry.
Yeah,
I
no
can't
problem,
put it.
no.
Right? So here's the point. Yasin doesn't understand the country his parents migrated to. Because unlike me, in a Muslim country, Yasin can become the Prime Minister of this country. But no Christian migrant to Saudi Arabia could ever become the ruler of Saudi Arabia. And the proof is in Humza Yusuf, who became the first minister of Scotland, who was a Muslim. We've had Muslim ministers of the Exchequer, Muslim foreign secretaries.
No. Arabic.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in the Pact of Umar that Yasin got, it says that Christians and Jews can't join the government. If we passed a law that said Muslims cannot join government, would you say that that was Islamophobic? Yes. So in other words, if we do it to the Muslims, it's bad. But if they do it to us, it's okay. Do you condemn the Pact of Umar?
I'm still reading it. Can I condemn it in 5 minutes?
Can you condemn that law of the Pact of Umar that says,
Which law? Which
the one that says prohibition on Jews and Christians holding government office? Do you condemn it?
No, you can't condemn it.
You can't condemn it. But you said if I could prove to you religious
You're
intolerance...
talking about now or back then?
1 second.
Because Islamophobia now is different to Jewophobia and whatever.
Christophobia.
Back then, right?
Is Sharia law
It's different
applicable all the
times.
time?
Yes, it's applicable all the time.
So does that law apply today?
This isn't Sharia law.
Can a Christian become a caliph?
Is the Pact of Umar the Sharia law?
Can a Christian become the caliph? Yes, that was their interpretation. That was their fiqh.
No.
That was fiqh.
No, that's not their interpretation.
Do you know
of
what
Sharia
fiqh
law.
is?
No, I don't know what fiqh is.
I'm having to teach you a lot about your deen here, Yasin. Right? Fiqh is the legal, is the athlete, it is the opinion about how you apply Sharia law. The Pact of Umar is fiqh. And it's practiced by the madhabs. Type in, can Christians rule over Muslims in Hanafi or Hanbali? What's the others? I forget. Maliki or Shafi. Ask can Christians rule over Muslims? In which madhab says that they can do that?
It's the prohibition of Jews and Christians from holding government office.
Correct. And you
Right.
said if we did that to Muslims, that's Islamophobic.
And now,
Yeah.
but back then it's different.
So can Muslims hold office, or can Christians hold office over Muslims today under Sharia law? No, they can't. Sharia law prohibits Christians from ruling over Muslims. That's the fiqh of all the madhabs.
What do you mean rule? Is this a Christian country?
No, not really.
Is Ireland a Christian country?
Nope.
Can you name one Christian country?
The Vatican.
Another Christian country.
The Vatican would be a Christian country.
If I went to live in Poland,
Right, he's checking. No, don't let him check out of this conversation. What? There is.
I'm saying, as a Muslim right now, if I go live in Poland, you said Christians can't rule over me, right?
Right, I believe in
So what
it.
does that mean?
Well, let me give you an example. I believe that in a Christian government, Muslims can achieve high office, so long as they implement laws according to Christian principles.
Exactly.
But that is not true in Islam.
Yes.
Muslims can't. Now notice, he's just, before he didn't know, he had to check, but all of a sudden he's stealing my answer to try and make Islam look okay.
What do you mean stealing my answer?
Literally, you're about to steal my. No.
Muslims can't live under Christian rule. If I went to live in Poland, am I an effed up Muslim? A lot of Muslims live in Poland.
Correct.
What does that mean for your argument?
Right, here's Yassine. Here's what it
And
means.
this is without understanding. So imagine I knew as well.
Yeah.
Imagine the other people.
You'd be arguing. You'd be arguing different if you understood. But the point is, Yassine, you're trying to just.
So this is not religious subjugation.
It is religious subjugation.
I'm hearing people are allowed to live. When the
But they
Crusaders
can't.
were coming
But they
into different
can't
Islamic
enter.
countries, they were killing them.
They
straight.
can't. Yassine.
There was a negotiation.
Yassine, listen.
So what does that mean?
Yassine, these are sound bites, not arguments. Firstly, the Muslims under Christian rule live better than under Muslims. Sorry, the Muslims under Christian rule live better under Christian rule. The Muslims lived under Muslim rule.
I don't think so.
Yes, they did, ladies and gentlemen. Furthermore, you said it was Islamophobic if we barred Muslims from government. But you won't condemn the Pact of Umar that says that Christians should be barred from high government. I've demonstrated that Islam teaches religious discrimination. Now, all you have to do is condemn the Pact of Umar. Just condemn that rule.
That rule, not the fact.
Yeah, well, if you condemn that one rule, you're condemning the pact. You're saying it's flawed. Will you condemn that rule?
The rule's not in the fact.
Will you condemn that rule?
Which rule? That
The one that
Jews and
says
Christians
Jews
can't
and Christians can't be in government. Will you condemn that rule?
But it's not even true.
What's not true?
I'll tell you why it's not true.
Right, go on
Who
then.
knows about the story where it was the main physician of the Sultan back in the day, I think in the Ottoman Empire, was a Jew. Was the main physician.
He's a physician. He's not in government.
Oh, so it's only a government job.
Well, physicians are not government, bro. No one thinks like that. No one thinks your local GP is in the government.
So if I find any Jew or Christian in governments back then, that announces everything.
No, I'll give you an example. During the occupation of Spain, the Caliph of the Caliphate of Cordoba allowed Jews to rule over the Muslims.
Oh.
And you know what it resulted in? An anti-Semitic riot that led to the death of 5,000 Jews. And the toppling of that government. That's what it led to. So let's see.
Pact of Umar doesn't apply to me. Doesn't apply to me. But you still have to condemn
It was, for example, common before the modern period for non-Muslims to serve in Islamic government, despite the supposed prohibition. Why is it? What does that mean?
Because when the Muslims invaded Christian land,
Why were some allowed to be in the government?
I'm going to explain.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Give me an example.
John of Damascus. And the reason why was because when Muslims invaded Christian land, they invaded lands that already had an administrative structure on top. And the Arabs didn't have the education to do the kind of projects that they wanted to do. And so when they wanted to build a fleet to besiege Constantinople, They didn't have the wit or the education to do that. So John of Damascus was the administrative functionary that managed the building of the fleet, because the Arabs had just come out of the desert and they didn't know the first thing about building fleets. But as Muslims came to dominate, they increasingly pushed Christians out of government.
You said they're not allowed in the government. They were.
The fact that not Muslims don't practice Islam properly doesn't mean
that Islam is incorrect.
yeah, exactly. But it doesn't mean it's true either.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
That was my main point. Muslims doing a lot of bad.
Can you show me any Islamic fiqh that says that a Christian can rule over a Muslim?
I'm saying if every Muslim believed it, and Islam was messed up, there were some Christians and Jews in positions of government.
Okay.
And in positions of power.
Yassine, let's come back to the issue that you're running from. What's the jizya tax?
No, I think I'm done. But
Goodbye, Yassine. Take care.
One preacher wanted me 16:3. It says to kill anyone that doesn't believe in the same Torah.
Yassine, I'll come back here. Yassine, do you have a Bible, bro?
no, I'm Muslim.
Right, I'd like to give you a gift. That's okay. I'd like to give you. I don't believe in the Quran, but I got a Quran. I'd like to give you a gift.
I have a Bible. No, I have a Bible.
You have a Bible at home.
I don't read the Bible. Wait, which Bible?
The
I
Bible.
only have King James Bible.
Yeah, well, that's if you've got a Bible, you've got a Bible. Brilliant. Have a read of it. Come back and ask your questions when you want to. But let me ask you this question: why have you got a book you don't read?
I have a question. I have read it.
Oh, you do read it.
Not finished reading, but I've read it. But
Okay.
Is it true that the oldest Bible, like the oldest manuscript that you have, is much older than Jesus? Is that
No,
true?
that's well. Obviously the Bible comes in two testaments.
I've actually never asked a Christian.
I'm going to answer the question.
No, I know you. Man.
So the Bible comes in two testaments: Old Testament and New Testament. The Old Testament, our oldest manuscripts of the Old Testament come from the 1st century. They're in the Dead Sea Scrolls, so they're contemporaneous to the life of Jesus.
Wait, 1st century?
Yeah, they're contemporaneous to the
Old
life
Testament.
of Jesus. Yes.
The one that was supposed to be revealed to Moses.
The Old Testament doesn't just refer to the books that were revealed to Moses. It also includes the Psalms of David, which you call the Zabur. It also includes the prophets like Isaiah, who you believe in.
They all lived much before the 1st century, no?
Correct. But you asked me about the oldest manuscript.
Right.
I'm answering that question.
But for the New Testament,
When
is the oldest one?
Let me ask you this question, Yassine.
Answer my question.
I have answered your
The
question.
New Testament, when is the oldest manuscript that we have?
Are you wanting a fragment or something complete?
Either.
So the
That's
oldest.
the oldest fragment.
So the oldest
Fragment
fragment, you can see it in Manchester. You can go and see it yourself. The oldest
I'm
fragment
about to leave, so.
dates to around 125 AD.
125 AD.
Correct.
125 AD.
Now let me ask you a question, because this isn't a one-way street. What is your oldest copy of the Quran? When is it dated to?
Around 20 years after Prophet.
That's a lie.
What is it then?
Your oldest complete Quran,
Yeah.
according to Islamic tradition, is the top copy and what's the other one? No, I think it is actually the top copy. But the people that date the Quran date it to the 8th century. Now, can you explain to me, Yassine?
568 to 645.
No, these are portfolios. The Birmingham portfolios, the manuscripts that were found in Birmingham, are not complete Qurans. I asked you about complete Quran.
It can't be 568 anyway.
Yeah.
Because Muhammad goes to
No, dated between them. So obviously
Yes.
it's not 568.
Yeah. So
But nothing is dated to the time of Jesus.
do you know why? Do you know why?
Because a lot of
No,
translations.
because
Jesus is
no,
Aramaic, I heard.
Yassine, you just repeating sound bites doesn't help you learn,
What sound bite?
right?
What does that mean?
You asked me a question about why is there nothing dated to the time of Jesus?
Yeah. Like, how can you check
Are you
that's
listening, Yassine?
You have to answer my question.
I'm trying to, but you keep interrupting every time I try to answer your question.
You're gonna answer my question.
I'm trying to, but you keep interrupting every time I try to answer your question. So the reason why is that back 2,000 years ago, at the time of Jesus, people wrote on what was called papyri. papyrus. Papyrus is an organic material. It's not like paper. I know paper is an organic. It's essentially leaves. They essentially wrote on leaves. Leaves, by their nature, just rot over time.
So it's lost.
Yeah, it's lost, but that doesn't mean it wasn't copied. Are you aware of that?
What do you mean it wasn't copied?
Well, obviously, a person
no
copies a
writing
book. Can you show me a full Quran from the 7th century? No, you can't.
That wasn't my question.
I'm asking you a question. Can you show me a full Quran from the
You're a
7th
Christian
century?
preaching Christianity. I'm a Muslim coming to learn from you.
But
You're
you,
talking
no,
about-
you're interrupting every question. So you're not here to learn. You're here to
But you
make
answered
the
the
arguments.
question, right?
Yes. So,
Okay, so that question you answered. Can I ask a follow-up?
yeah, but when you answer my question, I'm asking
Why
you
do
a
I have to
question
answer your question?
because I'm asking you.
I'm not
one.
even that informed. You're informed.
Yeah, great. So let me educate you.
Okay, educate.
Right. So you can't find a full copy of the Quran from the 7th century. Now, please explain to me how, when the Muslims had an entire empire and all the
Wait, but what about
resources
the
of an
Roman
empire, let me finish, all the resources of an empire at their disposal, that we can't, and that people were writing on paper in the 7th century, that with all that, you can't find a full and complete Quran from the 7th century. Your earliest Quran comes from a century later. Why? What's going on? Please answer that
But
question.
it says the fragments found in the Birmingham manuscript.
I said complete copy,
No.
not fragments.
These fragments, they're in line with what we have today.
No, the carbon
100
dating
Let me
is
finish.
earlier than Muhammad.
Right. But the one you talked about, oldest Bible, 125 AD, which isn't full, I just searched it.
Yeah, it's a fragment.
Yeah, that fragment, it says some verses are left out. Is that true?
No, that fragment doesn't say that at all.
No, not the fragment. It's what Google says. Google says that modern scholars don't agree that some verses weren't left out.
Right,
Is that true?
you're confusing two different things there.
So explain it to me.
Right. So, firstly, you've got an issue in Islam. You have no complete Quran from the 7th century,
Right.
despite the
Christianity
fact,
doesn't have a full- Right.
despite the fact that you had the power of an empire and people were writing on
Not
paper.
when Muhammad came.
Now let me explain why that's a problem. Yassin. Because when Christianity converted the Roman Empire in the 4th century, and suddenly we found ourselves with the power of an empire, what emerges? The first complete copies of the Bible. You can see them today. You can go to the British Library
That's 400
and you
years.
can go and see the Codex Vaticanus and the Codex Sinaiticus. They are earlier than Islam. The moment the Christians had the power of an empire, we suddenly see full Bibles appearing. But yet Muslims are telling us they had the power of an empire, but yet they haven't managed to preserve a single Quran from the 7th century when we managed to preserve a Bible from the 4th century when we had the power of an empire. Why? What's going on?
First of all, Islam didn't start out with the great empire rule that they had, right? Muhammad didn't start out with the great empire.
When did the Muslim
Muhammad had
empire
the-
start?
Is that true or not?
When did it start?
Is it true or not?
Muhammad did
Did
have
Islam-
an empire, yes, in Arabia.
No.
Yes, he did. He
started out with an empire.
Did he conquer Arabia?
No, he didn't actually. Muhammad himself didn't conquer.
Yes, he conquered Mecca. Yes, he
Mecca
conquered
isn't
Mecca.
Arabia. And anyway,
The
it
tribes
doesn't
in the
matter.
north of
Even-
Mecca were paying
That's not
zakat
Arabia,
to
though.
Muhammad.
It's not Arabia. A few cities here and there that all had tents.
That was pretty much the population of America. That's an empire, bro. If you rule more than one place as a ruler, that's an empire. It's a small empire,
That's not
but
what
it's an
empire
empire.
means. And 400 years after Jesus died, that's a lot of years.
Yasin, you haven't
For
thought
you-
this through.
You said 400 years, right?
When did Muslims invade
You
Christian
say
land?
400 years or no?
When did Muslims invade Christian land?
Why can you never answer my question?
In the 7th century.
I don't know. But 400 years after Jesus died is your oldest manuscript.
No, that is not
No?
true. Listen.
What is the oldest manuscript? Full.
Right. We got to
New
be.
Testament.
We got to be clear about
That's why I'm making it clear.
Right. Yes, we're going to.
So when is it?
So let me educate you about the terms. Manuscript can refer to fragments or
Say
complete
full. So I
copies.
said full. You said let's
Right,
be clear. I'm saying
and I have
full.
answered that question.
So 400
It,
years?
it is 4 centuries. When Christians had an empire.
Let's say both of them.
But Muslims had an empire in the 7th century, and you can't provide a Quran from the 7th
So
century.
they were
Why
weak
not?
and stupid and
Why did the
One
Quran?
is
Why is there
100
no
years late.
Quran?
Okay.
Exactly. Why is that?
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Why is that?
I don't know why it is. One is 100 years late and one is 400 years
Shall
late.
I tell you why? Because Muslims changed their Quran and they
How
destroyed
can you
the
say that
evidence
while-
they predict.
while there's errors in the Bible.
Are you aware? Are you aware there are contradictions in the Quran? Do you want me to show you one? All right, then. Let me show you a contradiction in the Quran.
Well, you're showing. What about
Yeah.
the contradiction in the Bible? How do Christians usually explain it?
Well, it depends on the contradiction.
Like age contradiction.
It depends on the contradiction.
So you're saying every contradiction has an explanation.
Every contradiction I've encountered has an explanation.
But what about the fact that there's
So
different
now
sects?
you wanted me to show you a contradiction. So let me show you a contradiction. Okay? So in Surah 7, 109. In Surah 7, 109. Do you want to read it or shall I?
Both.
Okay. So I'll read it. In Surah 7, 109 it says this. Said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. So who's speaking to who? I'll read it in context so you can pick up the context. Okay. Pharaoh said, I'm reading from 106. Pharaoh said, if indeed thou hast come with a sign, show it forth, if thou tellest the truth. Then Moses threw his rod, and behold, it was a serpent plain for all to see. And he drew out his hand, and behold, it was white to all the beholders. Said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land. Then what is it ye counsel? So who's speaking to who? You've got to pay attention. You're not a good listening, Yasin. Look, it literally says it said the chiefs of the people. Well, he's speaking to Pharaoh because Pharaoh is the one.
Said the chiefs of the people to the Pharaoh?
Look,
What verse is it?
there's 109. We'll do this slowly. Surah 7, verse 109.
The elders of Pharaoh's people said, surely this man is a skillful magician.
So who's
He seeks
speaking to
drive
who?
you out of your land.
Who's speaking to who?
The elders of the Pharaoh's people. But I don't know who they're speaking to. It
Right.
doesn't say.
Well, who do you think they're speaking to?
The Pharaohs?
Where
Pharaoh
was
himself?
Yeah, exactly, because Moses is in Pharaoh's court,
Right.
right? And Pharaoh is the ruler. So when you're going to address, you're not going to address the common man, the servant. You're going to address who? You're going to address the ruler, aren't you?
Okay.
So they're addressing Pharaoh.
Nice.
Am I being fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Surah 7, 109. Let's go to Surah 26, 33. Surah 26.
Pharaoh put off Moses and his brother for a while and sent forth heralds to the cities to summon every skillful magician to your presence.
Sorry, Surah 6, verse 34. It says, Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, this is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land by his sorcery. Then what is it ye counsel? So who said what to who?
Wait, how's that contradiction?
Right. So in one verse, it said that I said to you. In the other verse, it said that you said to me.
Didn't say I.
I'm using
I read the same
all right.
verse.
Oh, my brother. Oh, you
What
really.
do you mean? You
All
said,
right.
I said to you. No, it doesn't.
Pay attention.
I'm paid.
In one verse, it said that Pharaoh said to the chief priests, which you can logically think of as person A says to person B. In the other verse, it says that the chiefs said to Pharaoh, which is the equivalent of saying person B says to person A. That's a contradiction. It's either person A or person B. Who is it?
What does it say? You get it?
Did you get it? Did you understand it? Did you understand it? Who else was listening? Did you understand it? Did you understand?
Explain it to me right now.
Yasin, how is it that everyone around us understands it except
We're
you?
gonna test it. everyone's reporting.
He's pretty much saying in one instance Pharaoh is speaking, but in another instance another person speaking
To Pharaoh.
to Pharaoh.
Show me that again.
So it's either Pharaoh speaking or someone speaking to Pharaoh. Which one is it?
Shall we do this again?
Surah 6:34. Messengers before you have been giving the lie to, and they endured with patience. They've been giving the lie to.
No, Surah 26.
This is Surah 6. 26.
26. Yassine, bro, you got to listen. Less pride, less arrogance, more humility leads to more learning. Right? If you weren't so arrogant and so proudful that you're the better man because you're the Muslim,
I already believe
right?
that.
I know exactly. And look what it's done to you. Your pride has stopped up to your ears. You can't listen.
I heard 6 instead of 26.
Everybody else heard what I had to say. Right, listen. Surah 26, Ayah 34. Pharaoh said to the chiefs around him, "This is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of your land by his sorcery. What then is it ye counsel?" Who's speaking according to that passage?
Pharaoh to the chiefs.
The Pharaoh to the chiefs.
The first one
Now
is-
let's go to Surah 7. Verse 1, it does help if I actually go to Surah 7. Bear with us. Sorry, I was back in Surah 9. Surah verse 109.
Surah what?
Surah 7, verse 109, said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, "This is indeed a sorcerer well versed. His plan is to get you out of the land. Then what is it ye counsel?" So who said what?
And then it said they advised Pharaoh, put off Moses and his brother for a while, and send forth heralds to your cities, and summon every skillful magician to your presence.
So who said
and
what
the
then?
magicians came to Pharaoh and said, "Shall we have a reward if we
Great,
win?"
so who said what? Now answer the question, who said what?
Oh, Java's group?
Who said these words? "This is indeed a sorcerer well versed." Was it the chiefs to Pharaoh, or was it the Pharaoh to the chiefs? Who said those words?
The elders of Pharaoh's people said, "Surely this man is a skillful magician." So you're saying that because the Pharaoh said it and the elders said it, that's a contradiction?
Right. It is a contradiction. It is a contradiction. And here's why. Listen carefully to the words. Right? This is what, and this is where you've just got to think a bit deeper. If you're less arrogant and less proudful, you can learn more. Just think about the logical contradiction of this. That in Surah 9 said the chiefs of the people of Pharaoh, "This is indeed a sorcerer. His plan is to get you out of your land. Then what is your counsel?" They said. Right? They said.
It says
Now-
he is indeed a skilled magician.
Yes,
It's a combo.
right. So,
Conversation.
correct. But listen,
It's all contradiction.
if it's they
I have
said,
verses in the Bible that say he's 22 and he's 20 and he's 40.
listen.
There's hundreds of.
So you're saying they just said the same thing to one another at the same time.
No, does it say they said that at the same time? It doesn't.
Your logic is that.
But it's that.
Listen.
Show me another one. Show me another.
No. This is fine. This
that the
one
only one?
works. This one works. No, I've got
This one
more.
works.
I've got more.
Yeah.
This one works.
Show me the other one?
I've got more. This one works. Right? So it's the same point in the
I'm
story.
trying to not be arrogant and learn. I'm asking for another example.
No.
You only
This
have
one's
one?
fine. Okay, we'll say you haven't
only
got.
have one.
We have others, but we'll just park
Can I have
it.
another one?
We'll just
Park
park it that Yassine doesn't have an answer to it. No, we're not. Park it means we're just going to move on to another a contradiction. So let me show you another contradiction. Let me show you another contradiction.
Show me another one.
Right?
This one is.
Okay.
a bit weird.
Do you need to go?
Soon, yeah.
When-
would you rather have some, like 5 minutes? Like one more
Okay.
minute.
One more. All right. Here's a contradiction.
Because
Right.
in the Bibles, I can have
Listen.
hundreds searched up right
Listen. Yes, and we can find lots of contradictions in the Quran. Here's one. In Surah 28:88, it says, "Everything perishes but Allah's face." So what happens to Allah's shin?
now. Surah 8.
Surah 28:88. Right? Surah 28:88.
everything perishes except Allah's face.
Yeah.
And do not invoke any other God with Allah. There is no God worthy of worship except Him. Everything is bound to perish except He Himself. All authority belongs to Him, and to Him you will all be
Right.
returned.
In the Arabic, it doesn't say he himself. In the Arabic, it says his face.
And his face only.
His face. Everything perishes except his face.
Okay.
Arabic.
That's what it says. It says he's. I don't think this guy can read the Arabic, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I can actually. كل شيء في الإله ولا
Yeah.
وجه.
There's a difference between reciting Arabic and I can read Latin. That doesn't mean I can translate it.
Right. Memorization.
So everything perishes except his face.
So all these official translations are wrong. So when we get
Wait.
contradictions
Do you
in
want
the
to pull
Bible,
up? What do you
we
want?
get it from
Are you
translation.
trying to run away, Yasin? You talked about. You wanted to see another contradiction in the Quran. So let's talk about a contradiction in the Quran. Yeah. In Surah, is it? Have I got the right place? 26. No, I haven't.
The contradictions we find in the Bible.
55.
Doesn't have to
You're
do
trying to
anything
run
with
away from the contradiction in the Quran, Yasin. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. Listen, in Surah 55, 26 and 27 says, all that is on earth will perish, but will abide forever the face of your Lord, full of majesty, bounty and honor.
That's contradicting. This just says the same thing.
Correct. Now what happens to Allah's shin? What happens to Allah's hands? What happens to the veil of Allah?
How is that contradiction?
Right, is the veil of Allah created or uncreated?
Now you're asking me.
Right?
Let me go learn. I'll come back to
Yasakadi
you next
says, all right, let me give you a gift.
time.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Look,
Sorry, you found me.
Yasin, to show that I have no hard feelings, Yasin, to show there's no hard feelings, here's a little gift for you to read to start your learning. Feel free to come and talk to me about it again.
I'll come next week.
All right, no worries. You look after yourself. God bless.